Good morning and good evening, good afternoon, wherever you guys are in the world. I'm excited to do this one, but I wanted to start off with because I saw some great comments in the group and I want to talk about those super quickly before we head into station 4. So one great comment was from Joan, and I think, you tried the t-shirt exercise yesterday, and I'm so proud of you, first off, because, a lot of times we can look at these things, and that's why I'm trying to always encourage you guys, like, here are some of the exercises to do, because, like I say often, I don't have a magic wand, unfortunately, to fix things for people as much as I would like to. Hey, Candace. And I don't, I'd like to. I'd love to be able to do this and make everything better for everybody in the world. I really would. You have no idea how much, but I can't. And so that's why I often say it's when you've got to do the work. And sometimes these little practices seem like, is it going to make that much of a difference? But Joan, thank you so much for letting me know that you did it. You did the exercise, and that kind of ripping off those old beliefs was really empowering for you. It's amazing how different when you really bring your awareness to how much we are carrying, how much we keep wearing that are other people's opinions and thoughts of us. When we realize the weight of that and how much that's stopping us in being able to actualize who we truly are in this world, and in doing so manifest the things we want to desire to have in this world, I should say, then once you feel that weight and you finally take that weight off, you realize how much it was actually holding you back and how exhausting it was. I will say there's actually quite a few people that I've worked with that doing that exercise or some of the other things in even station 3 or maybe even station 4, we'll talk about that today, the emotional stuff. But when they've actually brought their awareness to their emotions and what's going on, or they've brought their awareness to the beliefs they've been carrying with them all this time and how difficult they've been, when they finally let those go, they actually lose weight. People will actually lose weight, and it will just kind of all of a sudden go. And it's did they stop eating that day? No, it was emotional padding that they were carrying. It was the emotions and the expectations of other people they were carrying, right? And so once they release that. So anyways, Joan, thank you for letting me know. Isha, you put in the group about the fact you keep. Yes, Candace, I know that happened to you. Just saw you yesterday, my friend. Looking very svelte. Yeah, very. Candace, it did happen to you. A lot of the work you did, you've been doing so much work on yourself. I'm so proud of you. And I mean, it's surprising. It's actually quite striking to see. So thank you for commenting. Isha. So I wanted to talk about Isha's really quickly because it was such a good thing. I'll also respond in the group itself. So Isha wrote about the fact that she keeps having almost more rejection right now, or rejection, I think, has been a pattern for a long time from everything I can sort of gather. And she's having even more rejection. She's trying to go after new jobs, sending her resumes out, doing all of those kinds of things. And suddenly it seems like the rejection's coming in even faster, or, it's just that she sends it out and immediately it's like a no. And so she's like, hey, what's going on? I want this to be a yes. I'm working on things being a yes. I'm working on not having rejection. I'm working on, feeling great about myself and that I am enough. And she's doing all those things. And that's amazing. And so it was interesting to me because as I read that, Isha, if you see this, 2 things I want you to do. One is, so we've talked a lot about when we start shifting our beliefs and we start becoming more authentic to ourselves and we start clearing out all this stuff in all these stations, that things inherently shift in general for us. Experiences that previously would have been ones that we would have gone for will suddenly not be that frequency anymore. And suddenly they'll start moving out of the way because now we are attuned to a new thing. Okay. So I think you said you were going after IT jobs. I believe you've said that somewhere along the way. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think it was something like that. And so what I want to ask you, and for anybody who is noticing this sort of experience today, or right now, as you're doing this work, right? And suddenly these things, it seems like you're getting more of what you didn't want. Then I want you to bring your awareness to this. 1, do you really, truly, in your heart of hearts, want the jobs you're going after? Do you want to be doing the kind of work that you're doing? Do you want to? Okay. Is that what your soul is looking for? Is that what you feel best about? I know you have that skill set, and that's awesome. I want you just to think, as you've been working on being more authentic with yourself, is this what you really want? Because if this isn't actually in alignment with all the work that you've been doing, it's possible that this increase in rejection can be because it's like, these are not actually for you anymore. These don't match. That's one possible explanation. So take a look at that. Let me know. The second is that all of these are there's a ton of rejection happening because it's actually aligning you to a better opportunity, right? So the two are kind of the same, how do you say that? Two sides of the same sword. I cannot say idioms and things like that. I get them all messed up. My mom would always laugh at me as a kid. She was an English teacher, and I would like mix and match things, like, I don't know, sharp as bulb in the shed, or I don't know. I just can't do it. Anyways, so those are two sides of the same sword, I believe is the saying. And so these two sides of the same coin. There we go. See, Rachel, thank you. Oh my God, you guys, you're good. Honestly, okay, we're good. We're going to go two sides of the same coin. What is it? Double-edged sword. That's the one. Okay. Two sides of the same coin is actually what I was working towards. All right. So two sides of the same coin. So it could be that all this rejection is leading you to an opportunity that's actually a ton better for you. So I want you to look at, are you sort of habitually sending out these things because you see these jobs and you think, well, yeah, I could do it, right? And it reminds me of what I talked about before, I think with Station 2, where for a long time, as a woman, I would get, you get asked out, right? Guy comes along, thinks you're cute, you're in the gym, you're like, all right, he seems all right, right? It's like, I could, it'd be okay probably, but is he really the guy, right? Is this actually, and until I stopped just like taking I took a whole year off and was like, I'm not dating anybody. I'm just going to say no across the board until the right one comes along, or I'm single and I'm totally happy with that. And that's awesome. Okay. So I feel like it could be something very similar for you right now, where it's like, are you just accepting what is like out there and it's not really the one? Right? So I want you to, if you can, take a look at those, and hopefully this has been helpful for everybody and you've learned something new about me today. I cannot, who knows what saying I'm going to come up with next. All right. I also create words, just to let you know. I make up all kinds of words. Just the way my brain works, I guess. I was in like freshman year in high school, and I was in English class, and I was trying to describe something from some book. And I said, well, it was like omniodorous, which is still my favorite. I still use this word to this day. My mom could not stop laughing at this. And I was like, well, it meant that there was a lot of sensory information and scent information in the book. Oh, Lord. Anyways, we're all good. So so Isha, try that. Joan, I saw that you're here. Thank you for being here. And again, thank you and congratulations. Thank you for doing that exercise. I'm telling you, I'm going to actually redo it this weekend. I might do it with, hopefully my daughter is good, but we'll see. All right, so let's move into Station 4 today. Station 4 is literally the heart of the matter. I mean, it's literally the heart of the matter, right? It attaches to, it has from a physical standpoint, it has to do with our heart, circulatory system, ribs, lungs, our hands, right? Our arms. Because if you think about how do we express emotion, right? And for me, I basically can't talk without using my hands, but it's because the emotion I feel for whatever I'm doing, whoever I'm talking to is so great, right? I'm in this space where this is what I love it. But it's that kind of thing where we can hug with our arms and hands, right? We can express that emotion. We can punch or slap or harm with our hands. We can grab with our hands when we're afraid. So it really makes sense that when we think about the emotions and the emotional connection to our manifestation and the things we bring into our life and the patterns we get in Station 4, that it also speaks to that part of our bodies. Makes so much sense, right? How we can breathe in. Are we breathing in fully? Or, when you're was I on my practitioner training yesterday? One of the students that's in there is just an awesome human being. She was saying she had this like funeral feeling, right? Almost that heaviness in the heart and lung region because she was processing some things that were emotional things that she hadn't really processed necessarily emotionally at the time, right? And so it's amazing how we will take those hits to the heart, right? And we can die. We can die of a broken heart. It happens. Absolutely happens. So that's where we want to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I think, Rachel, you had something? Oh, okay. Rachel, good. Okay, Rachel, I'm going to comment on that one in just a second. And I feel you on that one. Lord knows I have been there, done that. Okay. Let's go to, all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pop up the book just so you can see this. I have pulled this up for you. Yesterday, we didn't get to go through this part in the oh my God, the book, and we didn't get to do this part of it. So I'm going to probably record a couple things and just put them up in the portal. I'll also put them up in the group just so we have it. But this one right here is probably super, super helpful. So page 286, if anybody else is dealing with like rejection issues, failure issues, that kind of stuff, this is, go to this and read it and do the work. Like this right here is life-changing when you're having those experiences. So you can go through all of this. So I'm going to scooch down. Sorry for and we also, this is the other thing I definitely want to record some stuff on. Creating your own sense of safety and spaciousness for yourself. So I will probably give you an exercise tomorrow around that one, just because that one is going to be good for anybody. It doesn't matter what station you're in. So I will probably just record these two and pop these into the group just so we have it. I apologize for scooching all the way through. This is being a leader of yourself. And we talked about it yesterday a little bit. So you'll notice at the end of every station here, every workbook section, you can actually, this is your action plan. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up just so you have that in the group as well. I'm also going to give some like Cliff Notes versions of things for people. So when you come in, you can kind of go, yeah, that's where I need to go. Or that's, just to kind of make it a little easier to find your way around. All right, moving along. Here's our emotional connection to life. And so our station motto is, I feel all of life completely. I express my emotions in healthy ways. So by a raise of hands, you can put that in the chat or in the live stream, or just, put a heart or something on the live stream. How many of you have dealt with incredibly emotionally immature people? Like, how many of you have had the bridezilla moment, or it doesn't have to be somebody's wedding day. People can just have these like flying off the handle, massive drama. One of my best friends I honestly, on our wedding day, she went into like massive bridezilla mode. Like, it was something else. And actually she has 4 sisters, and her sisters turned to me and were like, do something. And so I was managing her. I thought for anybody who's ever seen, what is that Cher movie? Moonstruck, I think. And she tells Nick Cage, like, slap out. She slaps him and goes, snap out of it. That I actually thought I was going to have to do this to my friend to get her to like focus. She was about to go down the aisle and she was screaming at everyone. I was like, oh my God, it was something. I think we've all had, quite a few people have had that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Snap out of it. It was one of my favorite scenes ever, Rachel. Actually, my mom, she saw it first. She was like, that reminds me of you. And it kind of did. She was, yeah. Okay. So that's one of the things we can encounter a lot. So you may have patterns of maybe not you being the emotionally immature or the one that's explosive, but bringing people into your life, tuning into people and experiences where this is playing out, where you're like, my daughter the other day told me that this little boy in her class really needed some emotional intelligence, Mom. And I was like, yeah, probably does, because he blows up. He like loses it all the time. That's okay for like a 7-year-old, really. Not great, but it's okay. It's understandable. It's 7. But when you're dealing with somebody who's 40, 50, 60, 70, now we're talking about, somebody got sort of stuck at a certain age emotionally, and that's where they're at. Okay. I will see people also in this station where they repress their emotions on the other side of it, or you've learned to like go numb in those kind of situations. I deal with a lot of empaths that have taken on so much emotionally, or they've had a traumatic event and they are suddenly completely numb. Like they literally don't feel anything. I've actually had that experience myself when I was about 24, I think. I've just gone through a lot of different things. Rachel, you go numb too. Yeah. It's an interesting reaction. It's a survival reaction for a lot of us as empaths, where we are so open and we feel so much all the time. But if we constantly are taking all that on, or we're taking on all this like other people's trauma and things like that, you can just go completely numb. Holding grudges can be found here in station 4. A lot of forgiveness issues. I want to stop before we even go into this and say, people do talk about that forgiveness is like the end all be all. I got to be honest, in the work that I do, I have worked with so many people that have had truly horrific things happen to them, like horrific things happen to them, right? And then they start showing up in the body and, as cysts or tumors or back problems or whatever it is. And I got to be honest, I'm going to be very clear. The forgiveness tends to be, I don't think you need to forgive and forget necessarily. I think it's okay to also say that person really wounded me. This was not okay. And stand on that boundary. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, because I see a lot of people out there talking about how you have to forgive to be able to heal. And you do, in a little bit different way. Okay. It's sort of getting to the point where, it's like, if you're constantly focused on that person and how they harmed you, then it is like taking a poison pill every day and the other person's living their life just fine. But there's other ways to deal with that. So that's a little soapbox issue for me, because I think asking someone who has been through something genuinely horrific in their life to have to fully forgive that, or a lot of times what happens in families, you can forgive that and you have to still keep seeing this person who did something awful to you. That's where I draw the line. Then there's also that sense of self and that sense of protection of yourself, and your sense of what is right for you as a human being is also very important to your healing. Okay. You'll have maybe sometimes some brokenheartedness over lost love, maybe the inability. I'll deal with people with station 4. They'll be so connected. I've had people that are still connected, still talking about something who happened 52 years ago, and still talking about it with that same level of emotion or shock or whatever it is. And so when that happens, that's when we're a little too attached to something in the past, and it is going to impact your overall future. Being unable to feel joy, unable to access unconditional love, being unable to connect with your real feelings about something, that is all in here. Okay. And also extreme attachment, like that real big attachment, emotional attachment to everything in your life can really show up. As I talked about, these are all the sort of body issues that you're going to be looking at. I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee. I'm in Boulder, and Boulder is so dry. Denver is dry too, but this is definitely so dry. Yeah, Candace, I love that. Thinking about the process of forgiveness and also standing your boundary, which I actually have to reflect to you. I think you're doing beautifully. Okay, so let's go through. I'm just going to scooch up to here. Okay, I call this the good, the bad, and the human. So here's one thing that I want every single person who's on this, every single person who's watching this on replay to understand. No emotion is good or bad. We have been trained that there are good or bad emotions. 100% we have been trained. If you're a girl, you might have been trained that, being overly sensitive is bad, or caring too much is bad, or anything but being nice is bad, right? If you're a guy, you may have been told that you can't express sadness. You should disconnect from it. That is a recipe for all kinds of manifestations of health issues, all kinds. When we consider some emotions as good and some emotions as bad, we are inherently blocking our full human experience. Every single emotion that you have is telling you something in that minute in time, that moment in time. Every single one. And when you know to pay attention to it, when you know to just not judge it and go, hey, this is how I'm feeling. All right, what's going on? What am I supposed to learn about this? Okay. When you can do that, literally, guys, this right here, if this is all I teach you, if this is the only thing you remember from anything I'm giving you here, I'm so sorry. It's so dry. If this is the only thing you guys remember, this will change your life. This right here. Okay. We talked earlier in the principles and in sort of the science parts that, without being in our physical beings. We can't just see ourselves as spiritual beings and our physical being doesn't matter. Our physical being is literally the way we experience all of this, the way that we connect with other people, the way that we see the outcomes and experience the outcomes of our choices and our unconscious beliefs and the ways that we're changing. You guys are all here right now because you want to shift things. You want to experience life more fully and more in alignment with who you are, right? And we can't do that if we cut off something as essential as the full array of emotions we can feel as human beings. We cannot do that. We will not change. You will be so stuck. You will be coming to me with pain and all kinds of stuff when we block things. So this is something I want you to take a good deal of time to think about. We're going to do station 4 again tomorrow. So you can even think about this through the weekend. One of the things that I really want you to become aware of is, where have you been told that some emotions are emotions that are okay for you to feel? And so you let them be, you can allow them to happen. And what emotions are you stuffing in and saying, I'm not feeling that? You know, I see a lot of guys that are like, they deny that they're in pain, right? They deny that they're in heartbreak. You know, I had the guy, I think I've talked about it before, but I had the guy that was, you know, the hockey player from Brooklyn, and he had this pain in his aching pain in his left shoulder, and he couldn't raise his hand more than this. And I, you know, said, hey, you know, who's the woman in your life who's walked away from you and, you know, that you're heartbroken about? And he looked at me and said, can I say upset? Because he was told like heartbreak somehow, like a man's heart can't break. Like they can't feel an aching sadness over the fact that their daughter is moving out of the house with the boyfriend, right? And now that showed up in literally manifested in his shoulder as pain. It's going to show up one way or another. That, like, legitimately, I can tell you from the work I do, it is going to show up. Much better that we acknowledge it, okay? So this kind of stuff is, you know, if this is all I could talk about all day long, I would in some ways, because it's that important, okay? So I want you to think about also in your life, as you're growing up, in your childhood, right? What were the messages you got over how you were allowed to express things? I know as a young girl and growing up, anger was acceptable otherwise in my family, but it wasn't very acceptable for me, okay? I wasn't supposed to be angry. For a long time, that meant that when people did things against me that hurt me, that I had a right to feel angry about, I would deny it. And the way that I dealt with it usually was, I learned that I got positive feedback if I would take off and I'd go run around our block, which is about a mile. And that's how I would express the emotion. Now, that was better than nothing, actually. But did that serve me as I got older? Did that, you know, again, you can have that component with it that's station 3. That's like, basically, if you're denying the fact that you are allowed to be angry about something that has harmed you as an individual, then you can't change, right? So even if you're working on station 3 and you're trying to change all these things, but you're still denying the emotional information that's coming to you and how you're actually feeling about something, you're not going to be able to stand up for yourself. You're not going to be able to say, no, this is who I am. And this is like the I am exercise. This is what I want in my life, right? You can't do it because you are still cutting off these really important, vital parts of you, okay? So I want you to take a look at how, as a child, you were rewarded for controlling certain emotions, where, you know, we all want approval from our parents and other authority figures as we grow up. And if you got approval for like not crying, you know, about something that happened to you, or you were told not to cry, whatever it was, then as an adult, how do we actually express that better? It's going to come out. It's going to come out one way or another. So that's what I'm giving you the tough love here, although hopefully it's more loving than tough. It's just, I really, truly, with all of my hearts, wow, what am I have multiple hearts, I think. With all of my heart, I really just want this for you so much, because the more you can bring this awareness, the better it is. Okay. So I can only tell you that the people that I have worked with, I have men, I have women who have blocked certain things in their hearts. They've blocked these emotions in, and I can literally tell whether it's that they can't give emotions out, they're blocked in being able to show unconditional love and other positive emotions, or blocked with actually accepting and receiving emotions, depending on where the blockage is. Is it an artery that goes out of the heart, or is it an artery that goes into the heart? It will literally tell you that exactly. So what I want to say is, so are there more positive emotions that help you manifest at a higher level? Yeah, of course. That's why I work on helping you tune into happiness and joy and those kinds of flowing emotions, because those frequencies are great. But you can make some of the most empowered decisions for your best when you allow yourself to be aware of even what is a difficult emotion in your life. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're feeling really angry about something. You find yourself going to work every day and you're just feeling angry. Okay. But you keep stuffing that anger down, or you go and you get a donut or something and you eat your anger, which a lot of people do reasonably enough. And Lord, I have been there. So no judgment, all those kinds of things. Right. But if you actually sat down and paid attention to your anger, and this is what I'm going to recommend you do with any negative or limiting emotion that you have. Negative is not even right. Difficult emotion, right? Difficult emotion that you might be dealing with is, I want you to sit down and go, wait a minute, why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling angry? I'm feeling angry because everyone's dumping extra work on me. And I've tried to talk to my boss multiple times and nothing is changing. And they keep dumping even more and they're not even grateful for it. And now I realize that this is a really toxic situation. I don't think I want to be in that toxic situation anymore. And you start sending out your resumes and you move to a new job while working on the Manifest Your Dream Life stuff to make sure you actualize a more positive experience, right? So you see, anger can help you. There was a moment in my life where I needed to end a relationship, and I've been kind of going along. And I realized that I was feeling this anger about a situation. And mostly it was just, this is not the right guy for me. Right. And so that anger in me was really more frustration over trying to deal with a bunch of stuff that wasn't working for me. When I brought my awareness to it, I went, wait a minute, I'm not an angry person. I'm not actually a particularly frustrated person. If this is the only situation where I'm angry and frustrated, I think it's probably time to let that go. Okay. And letting that go eventually opened me up to finding my wonderful husband. Okay. So that's what I want you to work on today. Yeah. So this is one thing this is a hard one to understand, and I'll just give you this, and then I actually have to check out of here in like 20 minutes. So I'll give you this one really quickly. So I want you to think about this in terms of all the emotions that you can possibly feel in the entire universe and world. They are all a creation of Source, all of them. So while hate is not good, not fun, very difficult, don't recommend it. 1 star. It's actually as connected to the overall source as love is. Now, when we choose more love, do we put that overall frequency and start not only improving our own lives and the collective unconscious and bringing better things in? Yes. But I want you just to simply understand that there's really no good and bad emotions. They're all there. And it's important to make sure that you bring your attention to it. And I'm just actually going to give you guys an exercise, and then tomorrow we'll go to some more. So as you're working on all this stuff, as you're working on these emotions, what I want you to do is today, take a moment and take a look at where have you been told that you should block certain emotions? What are those emotions? What were you told were bad? And then what I want you to do is take a look at, are you having experiences in your life where you are experiencing some of these more difficult emotions? Sadness, anger, jealousy, right? We have jealousy. Jealousy can be a very big one. And jealousy can be a really important one to be able to go, wait a minute, what am I actually jealous about? Well, okay, if I'm jealous and I want that person's life, what can I do to change things? Maybe, what you're saying is, I wish I had that person's life. Okay, what do you do to change things to be able to do that, right? That can be a really important emotion to help you, to spur you on to make changes that you've been holding off making, or taking chances you've been holding off taking. So pay attention. I want you to take a look at the experience in your life right now. Where are you feeling these difficult emotions? And then I want you to find one quick way to be able to positively express those emotions. So there's no good or bad emotions, but there are good or bad ways of expressing emotions. So obviously if you're angry and you go take a baseball bat to somebody's car, not really the best. Although there is that Carrie Underwood song that's fabulous. And I do really understand. I'm not really a country fan, actually, but where she's scratching something into all four tires. And I don't even know. I was like, I think we've all felt that one. Maybe not done it, but all felt it. However, not the best expression of anger, right? Or betrayal or whatever it is. Right? So that's like a more negative way. We don't want to harm other people or harm things. So what could be a positive way of getting it out, right? I was just saying to actually Rachel, I think the other day, like a good way of getting anger out is honestly, one of the things we've taught my daughter is, okay, I can see you're angry. Let's go down. And I'm like, you can go down to the car, shut the car doors in the garage and scream as loud as you want to scream. Go ahead and scream it out, right? And then when she's done, she gets it out of her body. She's like literally saying, I need to get this anger out, or she can go punch pillows if she wants to. And then now we can sit down and now we can figure out, okay, why were you feeling angry? What was actually going on there? And how do we now make different decisions to change that? Right. And so those are ways you can actually find if it's sadness, a lot of people, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. A lot of people hold grief is very much stuck in their body, very much. I cannot tell you the number of people I work with that grief gets stuck and it becomes these emotional wounds that show up in a whole bunch of different ways, very commonly in tumors or cysts, also sometimes in heart issues. So if it's grief, if it's sadness, what can you do to express that in a positive way? And oftentimes I'll recommend people like stream a really sad movie and dedicate that time, grab a Kleenex box and dedicate that time to just crying out what you need to cry out for this. And then you can sit down and go, okay, I've gotten it out of my system. What do I need to do from here? Okay. So we'll talk about all of that in a little bit more detail tomorrow, but I just want to bring your attention right now to where you sometimes maybe feel blocked on certain emotions, because we don't want those blockages. And also, how do we then express them in positive ways? We'll dig into it a lot more tomorrow. Hopefully this has been super helpful for you today as you're learning this. Let me look real quick and respond. Hearts, you're a multidimensional being. Lord knows I don't know what dimension I'm in half the time. Try to say that one situation is not pleasant. Okay, I think Candace, I think sometimes we associate judgment upon ourselves for feeling something perceived as negative. Goodness, yes. But really feeling it all only serves a positive purpose for our souls and bodies. But for some reason, we feel bad or ungrateful if we feel bad or label something as I don't like it at all or angry. Yeah, that's a truth. That's a truth bomb right there. Candace is actually one of the people in my practitioner certification right now. And she's rocking it. That's awesome. Totally agree. Great. And anger and all feelings are placed from source. Yeah, totally. Right. And then Livia, when are you afraid? What can I do? Olivia, can you tell me more about that one? Can you pop that into the group for me and tell me more about that one? I would answer it right now. I'm up on the third floor of this very, very old house. They turned the attic into this really cute space, and it's been super helpful because I was able to sit down and really spread out all my stuff and look at what do I want to bring into being in the next few months? How can I serve at a higher level for everyone in the next few months? And so it's great, but I've got to carry a bunch of stuff down a outside staircase and I got to be out by 10. So thank you guys so much for being here. Tomorrow, we're going to really dig into kind of every single each emotion, right? And then we're going to take a look at what does that look like. I'm also going to give you, and this is what I'll give you for the weekend. I'm also going to give you some really good forgiveness practices that are ways of allowing yourself to release things that maybe you're holding onto in ways that encourage and improve your own overall well-being and health without necessarily having to say that what somebody did to you was okay. Because honestly, there are things that are simply not okay. And, again, so that's going to be a really good one. So I'll give those exercises to you as well tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for allowing my kind of goofy sense of humor. Rachel, thank you for helping me with the saying I was trying to come up with. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if this has been helpful for you, I'd be super grateful for a few words about how this has been helpful, or please share it with other people in your life that we can help. My goal is just if I can reach as many people as I possibly can, even with just this information right here, we could have a lot better world. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Sending love to every single one of you. Know that I am supporting you, cheering you on right here for you. And I'll write some more in the responses in the group as well. See you guys soon. See you tomorrow.